Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're stepping right onto the digital battlefield. I want you to imagine a high-stakes, cinematic cyber thriller, except this is reality. We're going to look at a detailed, live hacking breakdown of Microsoft Sentinel, and we'll examine exactly how it defeats complex, multi-cloud ransomware using AI.
Okay, let's dive into this. Picture an absolute nightmare scenario for a sec. What actually happens when ransomware doesn't just hit one server, but strikes Azure, AWS, and Google Cloud, all at the exact same time? Yeah, it's the ultimate worst-case scenario for any modern security team, and it's exactly the threat we're breaking down today.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to look at the multi-cloud ransomware threat, setting up the battlefield, the anatomy of an attack, automated detection and response, AI as your security copilot, and finally, building layered defenses. Let's get to it.
Starting right off with Section 1, the multi-cloud ransomware threat.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core problem we're facing today: speed. On one hand, you've got manual SOC intervention, slow, reactive analysis where human analysts are frantically trying to piece together a massive puzzle while the clock is ticking. On the other hand, you have automated workflows, rapid investigation, immediate isolation, and instant containment. Look, when a multi-cloud outbreak hits, human speed alone just isn't going to cut it to stop the bleeding.
Moving on to Section 2, setting up the battlefield. Now, we aren't talking about some simple single-server lab here. We're dealing with Azure Virtual Machines, AWS EC2 instances, Google Cloud Compute Engine, and Kubernetes, right alongside Microsoft 365, Active Directory, and even on-prem VMware. This diverse, deeply interconnected architecture perfectly represents the incredibly complex reality of today's modern enterprise networks. And defending a beast like this requires some serious unified visibility.
All right, Section 3, Anatomy of an Attack.
So, here comes the red team, and their progression is methodical and just ruthless. Step 1, they gain initial access and establish persistence. Once they're in, Step 2 is privilege escalation and discovery. Basically, they look around and figure out how to grab more power. Then in Step 3, we see credential theft and lateral movement. They're jumping from server to server, cloud to cloud. And finally, the knockout punch. Step 4, simulated ransomware deployment. Now keep in mind, in this specific demonstration, these malicious files are safely contained within a controlled lab. But in the wild, this sequence happens at blinding speeds.
Which brings us to Section 4, Automated Detection and Response. Let's pivot to the blue team's perspective. We've got a massive amount of telemetry pouring into Microsoft Sentinel. We're talking Microsoft Defender XDR, Azure Activity Logs, and Entra ID. But it doesn't stop at Microsoft. We're also pulling from AWS CloudTrail and GuardDuty, Google Cloud Audit Logs, plus your standard Windows Event Logs and syslog. Conceptually, you can think of Sentinel as the central brain here. It's actively correlating all of this chaotic data across AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, so defenders can finally see the whole big picture. And what exactly does that central brain do with all that data? Well, it uses analytics rules. These rules automatically map all the malicious activity we just saw directly to the MITRE ATT&CK framework. This is absolutely crucial because the system is automatically structuring the raw threat data into a recognizable pattern. It helps defenders instantly understand the attacker's specific tactics and techniques without having to play a guessing game. I actually love this next part. We've got a sample of KQL here, Kusto Query Language. Now don't let the code intimidate you. Just think of this as a digital tripwire. It's actively scanning for event ID 4625, which is a failed login. It counts those failures over a 5-minute window, and if an account from a specific IP address fails more than 25 times, boom, tripwire triggered. It's hunting for brute force login attempts in real time, making it a highly active, aggressive defense mechanism.
And the second that tripwire is tripped, the automation just kicks into overdrive. Through Logic Apps, the system instantly disables compromised accounts, revokes Entra ID sessions, and isolates Defender-managed endpoints so the infection literally cannot spread. And simultaneously, it's notifying analysts in Microsoft Teams, creating ServiceNow incidents for tracking, and blocking malicious indicators across the entire network. All of this is happening in fractions of a second, instantly cutting off the attacker's access while the human team gets up to speed. Talk about a game changer.
Next up, Section 5, AI, your security copilot.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how Security Copilot acts as an absolute force multiplier for your security operations center. Instead of an analyst spending hours digging through logs, the AI just summarizes complex incidents in plain English. It explains the entire attack chain, actually generates those complex KQL queries we looked at earlier, maps everything back to MITRE ATT&CK, and even recommends the next best response actions. It's instantly translating incredibly complex data into actionable intelligence.
Finally, Section 6, Building Layered Defenses.
So the crucial point we need to take away here is this. Even with the most advanced AI and automated workflows, these foundational best practices are absolutely non-negotiable. You've got to implement a zero-trust architecture and least privilege access. You have to enforce multi-factor authentication. You need continuous monitoring, robust endpoint protection, and validated backups. And on top of all that, testing your incident response playbooks and running regular ransomware simulation exercises is absolutely critical to ensure your defenses actually hold up when the pressure is on.
Ultimately, as this explainer highlights, while tools like Microsoft Sentinel and Security Copilot massively improve enterprise detection and response, they aren't magic bullets. A truly successful defense against multi-cloud ransomware still heavily depends on layered security, carefully validated automation, and, most importantly, skilled human analysts working in perfect tandem with these cutting-edge tools.
Which leaves us with this final thought. Take a hard look at your own environment. In an age of incredible AI automation and rapidly spreading multi-cloud threats, does your defense still rely way too heavily on manual intervention? It's a critical question you need to answer before the red team comes knocking. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.